Gentlemen, you are both drunk on cosmic wine.
Welcome to the show. I'm Dr. Mark Sylvester.
And I'm Dr. Richard Schulman.
This is Alt Psych.
So our topic for this week, of course, is the mental health survival kit for the COVID-19.
Who are you anyway? Are you Mark Sylvester?
I don't know. They said it was my picture and my name in the intro.
Yeah, I'm just the picture of the guy who came with the wallet.
Isn't there a Pink Floyd song about, tell me who you are? Tell me who I am?
I thought that was Supertramp, but it could be Pink Floyd.
It was Supertramp. Nicely done, sir.
Okay, so you are Dr. Mark Sylvester, right?
I'm still Mark Sylvester, and you are
And
still
I'm
Dr. Richard Schulman.
And we are Alt Psych. And
We're still Alt Psych.
Still, we'd like to share.
Not to be confused with the alt-right.
Oh, no, please don't do that.
So what are we talking about?
Well, this is an unprecedented time in our experience of life. I was thinking back a couple of years ago, we had this massive Hurricane Irma. It was big and menacing. And, the night before it was supposed to hit Sarasota, I called my son up and I said, look, we can still get out of here. We drive up to the mountains of Georgia. And he was really cute. He goes, Dad, I got the dogs. I have to take care of Mom. I can't leave. So I said, okay, to hell with it. And I stayed too. But we had that option if we wanted to. Well, with this COVID-19 thing, I had a patient say to me a couple of weeks ago, I'm getting out of town with my sister. And I said, what planet are you going to? There's no way to get away from this thing. It's everywhere. So it's an unprecedented situation. It's affecting everyone. So Dr. Sylvester and I came up with the idea that maybe we could have like a mental health survival kit. How do you get through this time?
Yeah.
We wanted to share these ideas with you. Pick and choose what works for you, what doesn't work. Cool.
We were able to scrub together, I think it was like 15 different themes, but it's interesting. I'll quickly say that the hurricane analogy I've been using a lot. I've also been using the Jaws analogy because I think what makes this so terrifying and unsettling is not seeing the predator being invisible in this case, microscopic, and not knowing if everything becomes a fomite. Google it.
Well, good one. People are so out of control. Why? They don't know if they're getting sick. They don't know if they're going to die. They don't know if they're going to have a job. They don't know if they're going to be able to pay their light bill. They don't know when this is going to end, and they don't trust the people in charge. So the idea that you can gain even a little bit of control over this is a very powerful event. And that's really why we did this, is to help you get through it and get a little bit of control over your life where it seems like you don't have any.
Absolutely. And we only included things that we believe in and we know will work, which is a perfect intro to our first item, which is limit exposure to media. And that includes social media.
But don't limit exposure to our social, to us.
That's coming up.
I'm kidding. Yeah. You don't really need, at this point, you don't need to see it at all. I don't know what a body count and an infection rate does to help your life, except to make you crazier.
Yeah, and I always say if it's important enough to know at this stage, everyone on the planet is well aware, you're going to get an alert on your iPhone. The tornado is coming. So it's important. I've been writing prescription after prescription that says turn your TV off. Because
I think the TV is not nearly as big an offender as the phone. And you can fit that one in your pocket. And by the way, as you limit your exposure to media, I'd say getting into flame wars on Twitter may not be your best approach to getting through this.
Agreed. Well,
and there's a reason for that. When you lost control over your life, one way to gain control is to snitch on the jackass who's not doing it the way you want. And that's kind of crazy. It really does. It's an illusion. It's draining, and it's an illusion of control.
Which brings me to the second item: structure and rituals. It's sort of the antidote to the insanity and the unpredictable nature of what we were talking about before. So, what kind of structures and rituals are healthy?
I would hope that now that we're kind of all in the stay-at-home mode, although Florida is relaxing it a little bit. Eating together is a really good idea, and hopefully cooking together. In my home, we have tea every night before we go to bed, and we catch up. It's funny because there's really
Don't jump to item number 4.
Oh, is that item number 4? I'm sorry, I thought that was.
Damn it! Didn't you review the notes?
Well, no, I don't really do those.
Damn it, Jim! I'm a doctor, not a. Oh, yeah.
No, you're the captain. I'm the wild-eyed Dr. McCoy.
Any structure is important. If it's waking up at the same time, taking the dog out, peeing in the same bathroom, getting breakfast, talking, sitting down and having a meal with the kids. I think patients and people in general underestimate how important that truly is.
And we've lost this in our culture. People will grab fast food on the way home. They won't eat with their families. Food is a great currency for connecting. And at this point, that the connection is the key.
Yeah, and the pandemic has magnified that problem, and we've talked about that. So rituals and structure are important for everyone. It gives back a sense of control to our super ego, which I think.
And structure will reduce anxiety.
100%.
Yeah, I saw a funny meme. It said, "I've eaten 11 times and taken 5 naps, and it isn't even 5 p.m. yet." And that's a problem.
You know what else reduces anxiety?
Yeah.
Item number 3, grounding with nature.
Woohoo!
This is one of my favorites.
Me too.
So what is grounding with nature? I mean, to me, it could be paying attention, scheduling time to actually be with nature. It could be physically putting my bare feet on the ground.
I think that's more important than anybody knows what you just said.
The beach, and that's been reduced, right? I mean, we've been told to stay home and essentially fear our neighbors. You can't go to the park, you can't go to the beach, and right or wrong, it's opening up now, and you can ground with nature in your own backyard. Absolutely,
without a doubt. I mean, we started making a victory garden. We did raised beds, and we're growing tomatoes and cucumbers.
You stole that idea from me. I had a raised bed garden, which I credit to my wife, but we call it.
Well, I don't know which end of the shovel to hold. It wasn't my girlfriend, so I don't. It's certainly not my idea. I would say that connecting with the earth. I like your idea of bare feet on the earth. But you see, when anyone has anxiety, I often told them, do some gardening. And they say, well, I live in an apartment. They say, pot a plant, will you? Mm-hmm. Go to the store and get some potting soil and get a plant and make it nice. Connecting with the earth, very important in reducing the anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. And so is item number 4, connecting with family. I mean, someone stole my thunder here a little bit, but we were talking about cooking together, eating together. Why don't you tell us the whole concept of foxhole buddies?
Well, I worked in the VA for a while, and my mentor was a Navy SEAL in Vietnam, and a great guy, rest in peace. If you're in a foxhole and the shells are coming in and things are exploding all around you, and you are depending on that other person for your survival, you bond pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And that bond can last for life. And it's funny because my girlfriend's daughter, who's just brilliant in her own way, said, Rich, this is going to be my version of I had to walk in the snow 3 miles to go to school. I said, what's that? Well, I spent all this time in quarantine,
Yeah, I tell my kids the same thing.
And I said, well, walking in the snow, you don't exactly have video games and pizza you can heat up, but okay. Anyway,
and eating together can, like you said, it's magnified what was going on before, that we're becoming more socially distanced long before COVID came along, and we're not eating meals together, and we're reappreciating the value, and in my case, the necessity of that connection with family, assuming that you're not stir crazy and you've all been cooped up and you're at each other's throats and you've got
that's a whole other issue. But the connecting food, it's about, the main lesson of COVID-19, as far as I'm concerned, is we've lost our way and we have to get back to our roots. The more you have deviated from what your soul finds nourishing, the more anxiety you're going to have. So I don't think it's any accident that we are just leading the league in anxiety and also leading the league in pharmaceutical interventions for anxiety. We do more of those kind of prescriptions than any society in the world. We've lost our way. This is an opportunity to get it back. Start by having dinner with your family, okay?
Absolutely. And contrarily, but equally as important to cooking and eating together, is spending time for yourself, which leads me to number 5, reading and learning, getting around to doing those things that are just for you.
And reading is a lost art. It's actually more important than anyone knows. And that's because it activates a different part of the brain than looking at a computer screen or a television screen. Dr. Sylvester, you know more about this than I do, but I'd say it's a lot healthier to do that than to look at a screen.
Yeah, I'm all about reading, even though I ain't that good of a reader. But you can listen to audiobooks. We were talking earlier about if it's really hard for you to sit down and read, that you can get all these audiobooks online. You can learn. I'm learning Norwegian right now with all of my free time.
As Darth Vader once said, impressive, Skywalker. There's another piece about it's about respecting someone's need to be alone. People, I would say this isn't true for me. I don't know if it's true for you, but it's true for some people that they're in an apartment and they're on top of each other and they can't go out. Do you know that Los Angeles County has sent an order for another 3 months of the draconian? That's incredible to me.
And I don't watch the news, and I still heard that.
It probably was an alert on your phone.
No, you can't hide from this. That's why we need to shut it off.
Yeah.
You're getting it.
Anyway, the bottom line is respect someone's need for a little bit of alone time. So it's connection and connection with yourself.
And part of connection with ourselves is item number 6, naturally, projects and hobbies. They can be exquisitely important for taking you out of your own mind, your own fears, but also being an activity like reading and learning that you're doing for yourself. So I don't know, do you have any hobbies, Dr. Schulman, like, music or badminton?
Music, writing songs, writing things, making videos, being creative. For me, that's what I do. It's what I've always done, but it's more important now. And I've absolutely gone deep with writing music. And actually, because I'm in a band, perfecting what we're doing with the band, of course, we couldn't rehearse for a month. But that didn't mean I didn't work on things, the arrangements. To me, music is sort of what feelings sound like. So very important to me. Writing, I write poetry, write lyrics. And then helping out with the garden project. That project is a great project. I'd say, if you have something you love to do, please do it. And if you don't, this is a great time to find something new.
Yeah, and discover it within yourself. Like, wow, whoever knew that I was so impassioned by, basket weaving.
Well, I give you a perfect example.
They don't know what their hobbies are. That's the problem.
Well, my girlfriend's daughter, she's 18, and she's kind of in this no-win situation. She can't work. There's no school. Imagine an 18-year-old. She's a great kid, bored out of her mind. That's dangerous for an 18-year-old. So she says to me, I've always wanted to learn photography. So I got this cool camera. I said, here, go take pictures. She said, of what? I said, be creative. There's pictures all over this place. Just go out in the yard, see what you can find. And she did great, and she loved it. I don't know if she's going to follow up on it, but this is the kind of thing that people are needing to do. Do something, learn something every day. I know it sounds goofy as heck, but my old the body therapist I worked with for many years, Kat Taylor, told me once, if you're not learning something new every 3 or 4 days, you get kind of squirrely. So crack a book or something, Rich. I think it's true for a lot of people. Learn something new.
It's like Trinity says in The Matrix, it's the question that drives us. So finding those hobbies, which may actually lead us to the item number 7. Those hobbies could be exercise, dancing, stretching, yoga, Tai Chi, physical mind-body connection. everyone knows about it. It's almost become this trite cliche until you do it and you actually reap the benefits. Like you said,
Well,
it's
and these are all things you can do with people at home or do on your own. I would, some of you know that I'm a yoga enthusiast. If you're going to do yoga and if you have a teacher and you've been doing it for a while, absolutely don't stop now. But if you're brand new, be very careful. Everybody thinks of yoga as this sedentary thing, but it's pretty involved at times and you can get hurt. If you're going to do it on a video, get the simplest beginner's video because you can get hurt. I know because that's what I did when I started doing yoga. Hey, I can get this out of a book, and I hurt myself. I did a real good number on my back. Then I got a real teacher who taught me how to do it. So,
well, and right now is not the time you want to be getting hurt and going to the ER during a pandemic. Trust me, I had my 4-year-old split open her chin, and Daddy had to do surgery on the kitchen table to avoid going to the ER. So definitely be safe, be careful. You know what's a lot safer is the 8th item, prayer and meditation. So there's an activity some of you know about, taking 10 to be Zen. Or I personally do an hour of power in the morning. There are great apps like the Insight Timer, Smiling Mind. There's a lot of connection that you can do with a higher power, a power outside of yourself and greater than yourself to really kind of restore and calm your center.
in Florida, we didn't have quite the restrictive stay-at-home orders that they had elsewhere. So I would walk. I do what you do, but I do it walking. I have to have a moving meditation. I'll go out with the dog or go out on my own. And that's where I get nourished, amongst other places, but that is certainly one.
Well, anything that you can, like you said, moving meditation. For me, that's wrenching on cars and boats, but I realize that's not for everybody. Our 9th item is for everybody. It's communication. It's reaching out. It's checking in. That's something that, and I don't know, maybe you have better insight into this, but I think one of the things I've said over and over again is we're supposed to be social distancing. That's a physical distancing, not psychological distancing. And I'm seeing people psychologically distancing from each other, not only with at the grocery store or at the post office or whatever, but even within their own home. So tell us about communicating and reaching out or checking in.
Well, I just give you 2 examples. My 2 oldest friends, one lives in the San Francisco area, the other lives in New York. This thing was scary, so I contacted both of them and I said, let's do a Zoom for the 3 of us. It was amazing. We were right back where we were when we were kids, snarking at each other, laughing. It was beautiful. Of course, there isn't a lot to talk about besides COVID-19, so we figured out some old stories to talk about. Was connection. One of my boys is up in Boston and the other one is down here but doesn't live with me. It was great to have the 3 of us, in a sense, in the same room together, by all of us being on the Zoom platform at once. Now, I don't know in the long run if there's a physical proximity piece and only time will tell on this. I just know that I felt a lot better after talking to my buddies from my childhood, talking to my kids, all in the same room, laughing a little bit, reducing fear by saying, well, how are you doing with this? How can I support you?
Or checking in with yourself, like you said, you don't know if this is going to work, but you just know when you did that, when you set up a Zoom meeting,
I felt
that
better.
worked for you and you felt better. So that's checking in with yourself, which we often forget to do, especially when fear is blocking us.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that, talking about standing on the shoulders of giants, like we talked about last week, watching you get that energy and that connection from music reminds me constantly why I need to do item number 10, which is make a music playlist.
Woohoo!
I've been playing a lot of volleyball lately. Mostly with myself, because social distancing and whatnot, but listening to the music and these old, 80s songs that I grew up with, it's tremendously motivating. It takes me outside of myself. Maybe unconsciously, it takes me back to a simpler time before this zombie apocalypse.
Well, music is a time machine. It's the best time machine I've ever come across. It's funny because for years my kids would complain. This is me playing the guitar. Dad, get a new set list, will you? Well, now I'm in a band, and I've used this time to really work the songs that we're going to be playing out and making them pop. So I'm not just listening to my playlist. I'm playing it, and it's just such a great joy. It's one of those things that the more energy you put into it, the more you get out of it. Now, the other thing that I think is really interesting, and I've been studying music for a long time. It's funny. People can play sad songs and feel better.
Yeah.
So you don't just have to play, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Play your favorites, but also find some new stuff. This is an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to evolve in a lot of ways. And you might want to share some of your music with your friends.
And that's what I was going to say. I can't wait for, the world to open back up. So that we can get back out there and watch you in your element performing music live. That's something I know you miss, and I know that I miss. But
well, all I can say is thank God they expanded the thing so 10 people could get together, because then the band could rehearse again. And I can't tell you how much I missed it. It was truly amazing, because we didn't rehearse for, I guess, about 6 weeks, because one was to stay at home. The other one of our band members was really worried that he was going to get sick and bring it home to his aged parents. So missing it, I knew I missed it. I played a lot of music, but when we got together, it was magical. So there's an appreciation thing that's happening here too.
Yeah, I can't say enough about music, and it's something that's so accessible today, and we've so repressed. It's important. So try it, find out what sustains you, and just make a playlist. It's fun. It's kind of like being back in middle school.
Hey, I was a DJ. I was a DJ for a while. It's a blast. Become your own DJ. You could even announce at that time around, we heard the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and it's 4:02 a.m. in Sarasota, Florida. Okay. What's next on your list, brother?
I need help with this 11th item. It's something called altruism. I'm not familiar with this concept. What is that?
It's called helping people without, sort of expecting a return. The idea here is if there's someone who's infirm or aged and can't get out, buy them some groceries. It'll make you feel good.
So that's the idea, is you can get outside of yourself. You can get out of self-centered fear and uncertainty by taking action, doing something for someone else. And I think you'll find out, like Mr. Van Driesen says from Beavis and Butthead, how doing good has you feeling good. Is that?
Hey, and don't let this guy kid you. He does this stuff all the time. So he's just kidding. He don't know it. Yeah, it's really important if you can do it. Not everybody has the availability, and everybody's pretty scared at this point to go out and do anything. But if you can, it will make you feel good.
Absolutely. The other thing that I find that works is item number 12. I, of course, don't practice this, but I do preach it. That's deep.
Do you already have it down? Is that why you don't practice it?
It's you should see my house, office, and shop. It's declutter and clean. Although I might protest it that the sign of a great mind is a messy desk.
No, I agree with that. I have a very messy desk.
But
it's just, it's something that, we didn't have to sign on to every item. It's just ideas. What I find is some people are so bored that they declutter. I saw a great meme. Was a person, they showed their garden, under ordinary circumstances, and it's just a mess. 2 weeks of quarantine, and the garden is perfect. It's an opportunity. Why not take advantage of it?
Well, and actually, what you just made a really good point. It fights off boredom itself. People keep, especially younger people. I mean, I know I use my children like slaves, but if you're actually so bored out of your mind that you literally cannot find anything to do, cleaning, decluttering, if there's not a time in that moment to do it, there never will be a time. You will live with clutter your whole life.
That's it.
I accept your apology.
Apology not needed. You are a perfect human being. That's why I love you so much.
So what do we do for Lucky 13? Whatever you do, please don't catastrophize. Make a gratitude list. These are active steps. The what is it? The Native American saying is there's the wolf inside you that wants to tear you apart, and the wolf that wants to protect you, and the one that wins is the one you feed. When we buy into catastrophic thinking, we're feeding the wolf that will ultimately tear us apart. When we make a gratitude list and we focus on the positives, it's an active step we can do to feed the wolf that protects us. Is that what you're trying to say?
I've been doing psychotherapy a long time, and every so often somebody would come in profoundly depressed, and I would always say, "What are you grateful for?" And they would say nothing. And I swear I would say this. I'd say, "How about toilet paper?" I didn't know it was going to become like a thing,
I know I should
later.
have bought stock in Charmin.
Oh my God, yes. By the way, I've seen it on the shelves again. So I guess, I thought that was the one thing the government could have done to make people feel better, was make sure toilet paper was on the shelves again. But I guess it's there now.
Well,
Seriously, the gratitude list is key in general in life, but now that there's no ball games, there's no concerts, the restaurants they're just opening up, there's nothing to do, you might be grateful that you are healthy.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a Viktor Frankl moment that we all can really focus on the positives. And the toilet paper thing didn't really affect me anyway, because I'd never used toilet paper. As a matter of fact, the only person that has been to my house, other than my family who lives there, since the pandemic started, was the plumber, actually, to remove the massive clog of toilet paper underground in the main line of my house from all the women living there who clearly don't know that there's a toilet paper shortage. Which brings me to our 14th item. Please don't self-medicate. That's addictive behaviors. It's substances. I know I've seen this in my practice, and you said you have too. People with years of recovery throwing it away, going back out, the not practicing the first 13 this and our following tool using our kit here. Why do people want to self-medicate with addictive substances or behavior? Why now?
Well, we don't have our ordinary coping mechanisms. One of the primary coping mechanisms for people with addictive processes is meetings, AA, NA, and it just kind of fell apart. Now, I know that there were some outdoor meetings that were going on with social distancing, but they weren't that easy to find. Some meetings started happening online, Zoom kind of meetings. The main thing is, if you're an alcoholic, you don't need a reason to drink. But stress will help you along. And if you're selling stress, we're all stocked up right now. So I really encourage people, reach out to their sponsor. Start there. If you're in recovery, talk to your sponsor. If you have a therapist, talk to your therapist. Find one of the meetings on Zoom or some other platform. And if meetings are starting to emerge now, even with social distancing, get back to those principles. Read the big book.
Absolutely. There's a whole toolkit itself within recovery movements and mutual aid meetings, and there's a support infrastructure. And my folks in recovery have actually pointed out how they are better equipped than non-addicts, than the average Joe, because they have relied on these tools to get sober and to maintain, serenity and sobriety. And the tools are still out there. And like AA would say, if you find yourself in a hole, set down the shovel. And by picking up substances, creating a drinking problem, altering your mood, you're making a situation bad and worse. Which brings us to our 15th and final tool in our kit, Dr. Schulman, which is maintaining our physical health as well and supporting our immune system. How do we do that?
Well, for number one, do your homework. I have researched immune boosters. It's really kind of ironic. I upped my vitamin C levels significantly. I'm taking zinc and selenium and all kinds of stuff that I was sort of resisting before, but I got scared, so I figured I'm going to do this. It's hilarious to me. I feel 10 years younger. since I started doing all this stuff, I have more energy, more vitality. I think clearer. And all I was scared of getting sick. Take care of your immune system. That's number one. There are, no one's deficient of a pharmaceutical. It may be helpful at times, but no one's deficient. You're deficient of zinc or whatever the heck you're deficient in. Do your homework on it. There's a lot of good information out there. That's number one. Number two, do some things that make you happy. Laughter seems to improve the immune system.
Absolutely.
I actually asked my son up in Boston, you know any new comics, that I could dial up on YouTube? And the old ones are great too. I still laugh at all the old Rodney Dangerfield jokes. I still watch the Marx Brothers and crack up. Laugh and laugh with each other. To me, those are things, positivity, laughter, and a good solid basis in your body. And I would say exercise too helps. What would you add, Mark?
I would add that I concur. And the single, probably most powerful drug I've been prescribing throughout all of this to combat the fear and uncertainty is humor. Because I agree too. It's the most important and best medicine, which, it's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you, Dr. Schulman, for joining us. Next week, we're going to be talking about mind-body medicine. So we're going to cover a lot more in depth about how our bodies and our minds coexist.
So take responsibility for your own immune system. It's the only thing you've got control over.
Absolutely.
And take responsibility for your, actually that's not true, for your emotional state. This is what we've been talking about. Use the ideas, see what works for you. If it doesn't work for you, be like my Buddhist teacher, throw it away if it doesn't work for you, but check it out first, okay? So we'll see you next week. Dr. Sylvester, you're the man.
Be well.
All right. Bye-bye.
I think I cut off your bye-bye.
Don't worry about it. I don't care.
No, I didn't. I'm just kidding.